right into what I'm going to talk about, definitely. It is something that I never thought I would be talking about, but I can't stop talking about it now. Let me tell you a little bit about what it was like being in the jail. Everyone's very, very curious about what's in there, what's in there. So the first day, I pull into the parking lot. I have to walk across the street from the parking garage at the county buildings and enter a back door that has no marking whatsoever. There's an intercom, and I buzz it. You know, who are you? I said, well, I'm Susan Neustrom. I'm the new executive director of Justice DuPage. Okay, the door buzzes. I'm in. Door one. Walk a little ways, there's another door, and automatically that door buzzes, so I get in. I'm fine. Okay, door two. Walk another corridor, I enter this other, the door three now. It's a huge steel door. It has glass around it, has a big sign, no weapons beyond this point by order of the sheriff. Intercom again comes on. Who are you? I repeat it one more time. It seemed like eternity that I'm standing there waiting, just waiting, didn't know what to do. Finally the door starts to open, slides really, really slow. I get in, there's another door. I'm sandwiched between two doors. Now the door behind me has to close before the door in front of me opens. I finally get in. I'm in an area called Central, and Central is where all of the visitors come through to be searched and also to have anything confiscated that should not come in. This was my life. This was my entry for every day for about 3 years. And for the most part, it was pretty seamless, routine. Other times, drama, depending on what deputy was on duty. So here I am, inside the DuPage County Jail. Certainly, I was the executive director, certainly wasn't the C-suite, as most people who earn doctorate head for. But it was something that, for me, was the outcome that I had envisioned as I transitioned from a 22-year banking career to not-for-profit leadership. I really desired to move into not-for-profit leadership. Certainly had to address my number one issue that I had, that I was a high school dropout, and I needed to get my GED. So at age 48, I began my educational journey of getting my GED, getting my 2 associates, getting a bachelor's degree, getting a master's, and my doctorate. And here I was ready to serve people inside the DuPage County Jail. So what I would like to talk about today is just to tell you a little bit about what I saw. And what I saw bothered me tremendously. So here's what I did. I also want to talk about education behind bars. It is amazing what education is going on behind bars. And then a DuPage County Jail proposal for a model of adult education services. I was working in phases to produce this. And I'll get to that towards the end of what happened, what had occurred, and what could occur. So it is a what is happening now, what's happening inside the jail, and what could happen. So I went behind bars. Sometimes, in many days, you wondered who was being incarcerated because it is the most dismal place you ever want to be in, never ever to return, yet many do over and over and over again. So what I saw, definitely, Justice DuPage does educational programs inside the DuPage County Jail. They have been there for over 25 years. What I saw was lack of focus on education, unstructured programs, sporadic inmate attendance, inconsistency of program delivery, very little communication between jail administration. Now we're operating within the jail, yet no communication. And there were just numerous limitations, obstacles, challenges. Every time that door opened and closed, that was what my life was like. You move forward, that door would slam in front of you. So here's what I did. I began to conduct studies on talking with deputies, doing focus groups, one-on-one, every stakeholder that I could find to sit down and talk, to really convey what needs to be done. I also created an educational structure around the programs that were being delivered. And keep in mind that for the most part it's a very transit population, and the length of stay that you can get someone in a program is generally 6 weeks. You're kind of guaranteed they're there. So what I did is I created that structure where I developed a curriculum for every class that was in 6 modules. I also aligned qualified instructors with the class so that those individuals, it was a volunteer organization, so those individuals that were doing classes had the qualifications, had the credentials to teach those programs. I also developed pre-evaluation and post-evaluation so that we can start to get some data to measure. Focused on the adult learner, using adult learning principles. And also began an open dialogue with jail administration, judges, and public defenders so that I could get a grasp on what needs to happen within the confines of the jail so that the individuals leaving will be able to function properly. Let me give you a few stats. These stats are very, very difficult to get. Sharing information in the jail was not happening, it was never happening, but I was very appreciative. Whatever they would give us, this information was given to me in 2012. That's all I could get. And so if you think about, and this is pretty alarming, because the turnover rate in 1 month can be as much as half of those entering and leaving a state and federal prison annually. They book about 31 to 35 inmates a day, but that many leave, going back into the community, back into the community. Now, one sentence, an inmate can only stay in the jail 364 days, but sentencing can take a long time. And as you can see, longest residents were in 2008, 4 inmates, 2009, 9, 2010, 29 inmates. When I was there was an inmate who was there for 6 years. It was home. The capacity is 1,032. At any given time, you have close to 900 individuals in the jail. Now, those numbers in 2011, I'm going to say in 2013, females hit over 100. The female population is rising. Recidivism rates in DuPage County. As you can see, the rise. It's alarming. It definitely is alarming. So you can't see this really, really well. But why is education important? Why am I taking such a stance on education? For me, my passion is education. It is a life changer. It is a game changer. It helps communities. It helps families. So why is education important? Well, according to Arnie Duncan, he says education is key to creating successful pathways towards prosperity and opportunity for children and adults. Promoting effective policies that offer education and workforce training will protect our communities and benefit our economy. Now, here are some really alarming information also that emphasizes the need for education. In 2008, 2.6 million children had a parent or in jail or prison. By age 17, 1 in 4 African American youth had a father who had been in prison. On visitation day, visitation day on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, on Saturdays and Sundays, on the weekend, you have over 1,200 individuals in that waiting room. And I would say majority of that were children. It was, you would watch, and for some, it was both mom and dad. About half of all prisons and jail inmates are parents with children that are under 18. The demographics in the jail, the largest demographics are 18 to 24. That's the age. Because of poor job prospects, formerly incarcerated fathers are less likely to contribute financially to their families. Once incarcerated, their opportunities for jobs. So what's the incentive to change the pattern if the job opportunities are not there once incarcerated? Because incarceration is a strain on marital relations, fathers are less likely to be involved as parents. And then finally, children of incarcerated parents are more likely to be depressed, behave aggressively, and drop out of high school, more frequent in boys and girls. So many people say that inmates are probably have a low IQ, no education, they're lazy, have no skills. Inmates are darn smart. They are smart. They are very smart. But they're smart in 3 different ways. There's 3 categories of smart. You have the jail smart. You have those individuals who know the system, know their rights. They are the jail lawyers. They will give legal advice. They do give legal advice. Believe me. They are. Whatever their attorney tells them, it doesn't matter because the jail lawyers will tell them. You also have the street smart. Gang activity is rampant in the jail. Gang activity is, the peer pressure is unbelievable. We conducted, and it was very successful for a number of years, a recovery pod where individuals who were serious about their drug addiction, we work with drug court to remain within a pod of like-minded people. I was working really, really hard with jail administration to create an education pod for the same reason. Because what happens, that peer pressure, especially with the gangs, that no one wants to admit that they're going for help because there will be some ramifications. So that's really, really prevalent. Then they are the book smarts, those individuals who are really, really seeking to get their GED. The ESL program was huge. Many of them wanted training, wanted to do this, and so annually, this is how many individuals we served with our programs. Over 30,000. 30,000. It was we could not fit everyone into the classrooms. Now, because the male section is so large, and they're in the new section, we had 8 classrooms. So males had the opportunity to have ongoing programs. Females are in the older section. We had 1 classroom. We could not deliver programs as much it took, I couldn't get GED for the females. I could get it for the males, but not for the females, until I could drum up at least 12 individuals who would take that. The problem with the females is they're highly educated. And in that data that I received from jail, that was sporadic. It wasn't, I had a bang, and all of a sudden it appeared. How wonderful. So when it did appear, when I looked at that, females had a very high education. So it wasn't the GED that they needed. There was more that they needed, and we couldn't deliver that. So as I said, I took the organization, worked with the jail, and built a system, an educational system. I was working in phases. This proposal that I developed was more or less that last phase. When I was leaving my position, just as I was leaving my position, I was asked by jail administration whether or not I could develop an adult education service that would really be a game changer. In the words of a senior jail administrator, DuPage County used to be very innovative. It doesn't happen anymore. Smaller counties, less affluent counties are by far passing us up. And this is sad. This is sad because there is a solution. In 2012, the U.S. Department of Education developed an education re-entry model for low-skilled individuals. It was a tremendous model. It was the first model that was out there. And they were seeking organizations to develop this model, work with this model. Federal money was out there, $625,000 going to be given to the number. I developed this proposal based off of best practices for the U.S. Department of Justice and the reentry model. It was to be enacted. Let me explain to you what the model is. One of the goals in the goal, of course, is to, through education, offer inmates an opportunity to exit the correctional system, increase their job prospects, and positively contribute to society. What happens inside the jail is that there are programs going on. They just are busy work. They're not connected to the outside world. That reentry has a line running down. So what goes on there does not move here. My solution, my proposal was that it worked in collaboration, worked together. It looks at working with universities, it looks at working with the community, it looks at working with others. So the objective of the proposal is to increase the number of inmates earning their high school credential, number one. Strengthen basic life skills of inmates to support community reentry. Establish articulation agreements with universities for the purpose of education transfer. Connect inmates to community-based education and establish an individual education and career plans. Now, this was to be a pilot program. Very strict criteria for entering the program, because anytime you're doing a pilot program, it is not on a mass scale. It's very small, and so therefore we need to collect the data to continuously enhance this program. What I looked at is creating a positive learning environment. Following the U.S. Department of Education reentry education model and U.S. Department of Justice best practices, it was to promote learning, behavioral change, and continued education. And I looked at the 5 areas of need which was identified in the reentry model, taking that reentry model and using that framework to develop it for DuPage County. And I looked at adult education, life skills, substance abuse, vocational support groups, and individual student coaching. In order for this to work, it's important to build a foundation, to build a structure. What I saw over and over and over again is the independent actions. Everyone operates independently. It's very hard to get people together to work as a unit to say this is how we move forward. And so in order to do that, it's very important that there is community support, that there are strategic partnerships with a multitude of educational institutes, that there is program capacity, that there are criteria for entering that, or there's a structure to that. The use of technology needs to be there. It cannot be a manual process. It needs to incorporate the latest technology. And there needs to be ongoing evaluation. That is key to understand what's going on. So my action steps to begin construction of this model was to conduct a feasibility study, first and foremost, to understand who would be the players in that in this model. And I identified universities or university support, certainly as College of DuPage, DePaul, Northern Illinois, Benedictine, created an adult educational service task force for developing infrastructure, criteria, and evaluation of the program, including target dates, benchmarks, and accountability. Identify major funding sources. There's money to be had out there. But you got to tap into it in the right way. That innovative approach. No one has found the answer as of yet. But you only find the answer if you begin a process. So and then assign a project manager to design, develop, implement, and evaluate a proposed model of educational services. This is what happens. Releases occur daily, and without an educational plan that helps an individual get back to the classroom, back to the jail is the only alternative. I conducted a decision-making class. Decision-making class was huge. Decision-making class, anger management, and parenting. They were huge. They were huge classes. And I would stand in a decision-making class and I would say, well, why are you here? Well, I don't make good decisions. Really? I understand that. But they would also say, you know what? I get out of here. I can't find a job. You know what I'm going to do? Exactly the way I came in here. I'm going to go right back to it. Well, I have to live it. That was the mindset. That was the mindset. And it was very hard to argue that because you know they're right. So in order to establish this, in order to change the pattern, to begin to look at what is the problem. Incarceration is not the problem. It's a symptom. It's a symptom of something much, much larger. It needs to be examined. When you sit down and you listen to stories over and over and over again, most people that are incarcerated are victims. They're victims for most of their life. And you look at this and you listen to these stories and they break your heart. They really break your heart. Because at a time when you're in the jail and you're in a room with 20 inmates in a closed door, first, you have their attention. Second, they're sober. And they're willing to listen. And they're willing to open up. And when you do that, you hear all of these stories and you say, I need to do something. And the key is education. The key is education. To develop leaders, to develop critical thinkers. I tell them over and over again, your story can change someone's life. But they don't know how. And so in order to have education as the key to changing a life, a family, and a community, you need visionary leaders. You need the community and business to be part of this. And we need academic partnerships to really look at this problem. It bothers me tremendously that it continues and it continues and continues. And there are solutions. Everyone wants a solution. But it's important that we begin a solution. It's got to start now, not tomorrow. It's too late tomorrow. So this is what I proposed, and I was to begin this. I was to begin this model. I was to begin the feasibility study. But it stopped. Stopped like that. I had a starting date. I had everything that I need to get started, but it stopped. And as of today, it still sits here. And I get out and I talk about it, and I say, and I encourage, and it sits. That's it.
On what level did it stop? I mean, will we pull the plug or not being a team player on part of your program?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And you have full support of the judicial system, the judges and the lawyers and everything, positive reinforcement, and it's just, he stopped the buck, basically.
Did this plan even see the light of day at the county board? Because,
No.
okay, I wanna make sure that happens, because we have a committee that deals with judicial and public safety matters, that deals with running programs in the jail. If this never even got in front of us, there's no way that we could have applied pressure to the sheriff to change his mind.
Right, and as I said.
I don't think anybody
stop.
invited you, and I wanna make sure you get invited.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Yes.
Is mentoring a part of your plan? In other words, someone from the outside community befriends someone who's in the jail, and then as that person moves through the programs within and then goes outside the...
Yes, and that was that coaching model. I worked with adult probation to develop their coaching program. The adult probation has a coaching program. I worked with them to develop that coaching program. What they looked at is they selected a few individuals who were willing. It was a team approach of working with that individual to get to the resources to continue. I don't know if that program is still ongoing, but my model does include that, and that's a critical piece. That's a real critical piece. Yeah.
Isn't that part of the JUST program also? I mean, don't they work with people afterwards?
No, not everywhere.
JUST does not.
Right. It's just in the jail, and that's why it was very hard to measure anything because there was nothing to follow. Any more? I'm sorry. Yes.
Hi, you had, as a component of the free
Yes.
support groups business
Yes.
Community,
Yes.
and I'm wondering, was there any, since this stopped in the planning stages, right? So were there any businesses that were aware that this was something that was being proposed? I'm just curious.
No.
They weren't.
Right,
Okay.
because I didn't get past, I was to begin that feasibility study. And it was gonna be a 6-month feasibility study that I was gonna conduct. And it would mean I would go out to all stakeholders that I'm looking to support.
What about the Chamber of Commerce? Are they able to go talk to them and tell them about your ideas? If the business community is supposed to be and should be a part of
No,
making sure?
because I didn't start this model.
Right.
This was the phase that I was working towards, and I didn't start the model.
They can sort of like get in various groups to apply pressure to make it happen. If the business community is an essential part of this and can see some benefit to the business community, then the Chamber of Commerce might become an advocate for you.
Exactly, thank you, yes.
How was the door closed? It's not like you came fully prepared, you had the credentials, you had the backing, judicial backing.
Right. And I was asked to present this. It was something that I was developing, but I finalized an actual proposal down to exactly what needs to happen. So it was outlined very, very clearly, and it was approved. And it was also, like I said, it was going to be a 6-month project, and then all parties were going to examine that 6-month feasibility study and see where we're at, because you always want to do that first to make sure that before you start any pilot program, that this would,
You didn't receive any answers
No.
or any feedback?
and that's,
Amazing.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, really?
I'm not surprised, no. Yes.
What's the most makeup of the prison inmates?
It is a surprising, the Hispanic population is increasing, but it's predominantly white. Yes, surprisingly, yes.
When was your start date and when did they stop?
stop?
I left, just in, August 1st of 2013, and I was to start immediately after, as, contract employee. And begin this.
When did they tell you that you're home employed?
They never didn't tell me. I could not connect anymore, so I was just cut off.
So, oh, I'm sorry, she has a question. I thought you
I
were.
was kind of used to that.
So if you were hired in August of 2013, who hired you and are you still working for them?
No, I'm not.
You're
No,
not?
I'm not. No, I'm not, because I didn't end up signing the contract.
Okay,
The contract was developed, but I didn't sign the contract because it didn't get that far.
okay. And so were you then replaced at just as DuPage?
I was already leaving just at DuPage.
Okay.
Already, and that's when I was approached to bring this forward.
Right. Okay.
Right.
I don't have a clear picture. What is Justin DuPage? Does
Just-
just stand for something?
Yes, it's Justice, Understanding, Service, and Teaching. It is a not-for-profit, it is a Christian-based organization, not-for-profit, that works inside the DuPage County Jail. It was started by the Diocese of Joliet, Sister Juanita Ujic, came in, 1982, just to teach GED. And from there, it developed over the years, and the organization grew because funding was there. There was a lot of funding for Just, and then it dwindled down to nothing. And I was brought in at the point where I was asked to change the organization so that we would be more attractive for funding sources. So,
And there are many teachers, there are several teachers working in these 9 classrooms you described.
at the time I came in, I had 180 volunteers, so doing the classes, definitely, yes.
And you were administrative.
Yes, I was the executive director of the organization, yes.
That gives me a clear.
Yeah, okay, thank you, thank you.
Is it, just as
Yes,
business?
it's still there, it's still there.
Still in these classes, right?
Right, as far as I know, yes, yes. Yes,
Are you familiar with Representative LaShawn Ford out of Chicago and
No, I'm not.
and his I can't remember a lot about it, but he had a House bill that passed. I think it was effective this year, where there were certain Class 3 and Class 4 felonies that would be sealed for employees or employers. If you were an inmate and you're looking for employment, which is one of the issues, there seems to be no hope once you get out, even if you're educated and you have a clean record for years and years and years. As soon as they do that background check, they see, oh, this pops up, it's a red flag. And there's a law that passed where they will not expunge, but they will seal it for non-policing agencies. So when you try to get that job, and if you have a Class 3 or Class 4 that is allowed to be sealed, you have a better opportunity,
yeah.
for employment. So I think that would obviously be really encouraging for these inmates, that goes hand in hand with what you were
Yes.
trying to do as well.
Exactly, yes, thank you.
Other than the Alcoholics Anonymous program, are there other elements that are religious-based inside the jail?
Yes, there are Bible studies and other religious programs going on, yes.
Now, what other county's been more proactive, unlike DuPage County at this current time, that's been very supportive of your ideas and
I have not approached any other.
any other, okay.
Any
So
other county.
you start out with DuPage County, And
Exactly,
it just left you.
exactly. Because DuPage County has the resources, they really do to do this. And DuPage County can be the leader, because jail programs are few and far between. But this is such an opportunity to make some significant changes. This is where it needs to begin. And if there is a opportunity to work with an individual and look at education as being that foundation to change a life, why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we doing it? Yeah, there is just, when I worked with all the focus groups with the deputies, it was just so much information that was shared. I sat with the judges, and I kept asking, what can I do, what can I do, what can I do? And what they are continuously looking for is help individuals change. We want to be sure that they're going to change. And so that was my driving force. How can I structure it so that there is change, there is definite change? And it's for such a short time. So if we can connect the community with the individual exiting, there's an opportunity to make those changes. And you can't change everyone. It isn't on a large scale. But if you change one, you change a life. You change two. You change a family. Yes?
I have another question. Concerning the funding of this again, you said that there was money there. They knew how much this pilot program?
Yes, I provided a budget.
And it was within their budget?
The feasibility study at that time was within their budget. And it was under their budget. And so that was going to be the 6-month contract of doing the feasibility study to begin.
Did they give you any rationale at all, or hints of a rationale that part of the objection to letting this go forward, or part of their agenda was that it was a money issue or budgeting issues?
No.
Because, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but, there's this whole question now, it's kind of subliminally under a lot of, the Republican mindset that, education will do better if we privatize everything. And we don't want to spend money for programs that just go out to the general public where you're going to get all types and ratings of how people perform in school and whatever. So I'm just wondering if there was some of that mindset there, that this was money that was gonna go out to all people, a population that we're not quite sure we're gonna get our return for what we put in, which DuPage led the way on trash recycling. We had, I just got my new recycling bin this week, how exciting. Yeah. But what I'm saying is they like to lead the way on things, and that was a big priority for them, 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
To be at the forefront of recycling our trash. And when it comes to people, you always have to make the hard sell.
Yes.
So I'm just one, that was my question.
And in my model, it had very, very strict criteria for entering the program, because you want to make sure that you have the right individual that is willing to participate in this program.
Should we get a new sheriff in January? Are you gonna reapply?
But I can count on it, yeah.
How do you get inmates to participate in these programs?
Oh, there is no problem.
Is it voluntary, or does they?
It is voluntary, yes.
It's not
Even when it is mandated by the court, because we work really close with drug court, you cannot mandate in the jail. So it has to be voluntary.
So less recidivism means less jobs for the sheriff department. Because if these inmates are, yes, if they are successful, then that means that the sheriff department has less problems. But in your program, you also have the sheriffs inclusive, so that they will know how to bridge the gap between them and the inmates. Did I see that?
Yes.
I thought I saw that.
Exactly. Being inside the jail, I understood safety. I understood that was first and foremost, was safety. And we followed that, but it also was getting individuals where they need to go. By changing the structure to be very, very regiment, and really having someone sort of on a track, so that the programs that they were involved with, was, if it was substance abuse, they were involved in that. If it was parenting was, we could not keep enough parenting classes going. It was one of our most popular. Anger management, and that was always seemed to be mandated, but we were filled to capacity. We also had Spanish classes, the classes in Spanish, so that everyone could participate. Because we were serving so many, we were running 75 classes a week. And that would be, and that structure, every year was over 30,000 individuals that we served in those classes. So there was, but changing that structure to 6-week modules, we could build on it and we could get some data on, where were they at here and where were they at when they left. So it helped us build some of that, yes.
When Gina brings up a fantastic point about the sheriff's job regarding recidivism, I can't tell you how fired up and outraged I am right now, because when I started as a DuPage County board member, I got memos almost daily from the sheriff's department saying, I'm at or over my capacity in our jail, you need to give me millions of dollars to build an addition to the jail. After a while, after we repeatedly told him we're not going to do that, those memos stopped coming. But as the recidivism rate increases, the population rate at the jail increases, and further fuels his case for a lot of money to be invested in some meaningless capital project under the auspices of his department. This is, folks, this is just corruption. This is something that we can't stand for in DuPage County. It makes me sick.
And that's really my belief in this, is instead of investing money in building a larger jail, let's invest it in education in people. And that mindset that, you know what, I can't get a job once I get out. I'm going back to the occupation I had prior. And it's so true, and it's so true. Education will help solve that, but you gotta have a really good structure in place. It can't be a program haphazardly put together. It needs to have much support, not only from one side or the other, but from everyone. Everyone needs to come together and work on this. I presented this at Education Coffee House, and we had a really open discussion, and the bottom line was, we don't know what to do. There's not a solution. Yes, there is a solution. There is a solution, but it's not an easy solution.
Now, were the decision makers the administration of the DuPage County Jail? Are they the ones that put the kibosh on this, that just shut it down?
Yes.
It was the sheriff.
The sheriff runs the jail.
And is there a board there associated with that?
The county board.
Well,
So the
I wish we had more
county board
control over the sheriff.
has-
Really, he makes all decisions on
It's all your fault,
his
Tony.
own administration. Say what?
It's all your fault, Tony.
We didn't even hear about this. If I had heard about this, it would have gotten enacted.
Have you been in front of,
No, because that was really part of my business. Piece, but
I would think that they would be gung-ho, ready about getting
we worked
on with
really
this.
closely,
I mean,
yes,
they
yes.
get this Homeland Security Department
Yes,
now
yes.
in a shooting range, and I mean, they're spending all this money on criminal justice related things. I mean, it would just seem like they're right up the road, and
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had, because they administered the GED. And so,
but
we
you
have
haven't presented this to them.
not this particular model. No, they are more than willing to work with us, more than willing. That was noted in every conversation I've ever had. Yes.
Are the previous programs still going on, or did that come to us?
There are programs going on. I could not state at this point if programs that I incorporated are ongoing at this point. No. Yes.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Can I do one more thing, is just plug my books that are coming out? Just wanted to say, the Comfort Zone Illusion is going to come out in the winter of 2014, and my follow-up book is The Power of Education in the spring of 2015. So,